Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to your daily cricket show. This on a Sunday on the Cricket Happening Show. Welcoming you all. We have two matches which I'm going to talk about today. One is New Zealand losing the match against Sri Lanka at the Galle Cricket Ground here, collecting and Sri Lanka in the ICC Test Championship, the first Test match, collecting 60 points to start off their ICC Test Championship on a very wonderful note. And it did not take much time. It was basically Karunaratne going on to make his ninth Test done, 122, and he did his job. And then finally, it was a six-wicket victory for Sri Lanka over New Zealand, which I'll be talking about in a brief manner. And then, but the match which was really getting exciting at the Lord's Cricket Ground was the final day Test match between Australia and England, and once again Jofra Archer was in the limelight once again. I'll tell you why, but first let me just head towards the Sri Lanka New Zealand game first to tell you what really happened as far as that particular Test match was concerned. So just talking about that game, in fact the two batsmen, the opener and the captain of the Sri Lankan team, Dimuth Karunaratne and Lahiru Thirimane, extended the lead further. They resumed at the overnight score of 133 for none and pushed it on to 161 before Lahiru Thirimane's wicket was taken, and Lahiru Thirimane making 67 his contribution, and 161 was the sort of highest partnership by a Sri Lankan opening batsman for quite a long time. So that was it. So that was the wicket, and Karunaratne, as I said, went on to make 9 Test and 122. Really, I would say, really playing with a lot of maturity and responsibility. So he did his job, and then Kushal Mendes came in and flashed 10 runs pretty quickly. As first he mowed Ajas Patel, the left-arm spinner, for a boundary, and then it was a 6-over long on that he deposited, and that was it. Kushal Perera making a quick fire 23, and then finally it was the experienced Angelo Matthews who guided them home with an unbeaten 28 to his name. Dhananjay De Silva was not out on 14, and the game was all over. So Sri Lanka actually, as I said, collecting 60 points in the ICC Test Championship, beating New Zealand or defeating New Zealand by 6 wickets. Now the other thing that I'm going to talk about is the match between England and Australia. We are talking about the final day proceedings that happened at the Lord's Cricket Ground. So just talking about that game between Australia and England, let's have a look at the scorecard and let's see what really happened. So if you look at the card there, if you look at the live scorecard there between England and Australia, actually the England were the ones who were batting. As you know, they resumed on their overnight score of 80 for 4, as I said, and it was not much. I mean, it was but it was the Butler and Stokes were the ones who put up a very good partnership. In fact, they extended from 71 for 4 when they joined hands together. They took the score on to 161. So basically, it was a 90 runs partnership that happened. Ben Stokes going on to make a wonderful century. He was there not out on 115 with 11 fours and 3 sixes. And Josh Butler contributing 31, being a victim of the bowling of Cummins with 3 boundaries. Barrister making 30 with 1 boundary. So England decided to declare the innings closed at 258 for 5, thus allowing the Australians a target of 267 runs to win, which was not really realistic, one could call. Cummins had, there were 3 wickets for Cummins, 3 for 35 for Pat Cummins. Hazelwood went none for 43. Peter Siddle 2 for 54. Nathan Lyon none for 102. Australia were given a target and now started the real fight. Australia were given 268, and let's have a look at the scorecard here for the Aussies as to what really happened. Now, once again, as you know, but before I start off, let me tell you something that Stephen Smith the other day was hit on the neck by a Jofra Archer delivery, as you would remember, was once again in the news. And the reason he was in the news was I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to give you a synopsis of what really happened. Now let's begin the chase here for the Aussies. The Aussies are chasing 267 runs to win on the final day at the not at the Lord's Cricket Ground, and let's see what Jofra Archer did to them. So we are looking at the second innings. So I mean, what a start! I mean, David Warner continues his struggle once again. He has been having a very tough time in England, and this time it was Jofra Archer who went on to pick up his wicket. So let's have a let's look at what really happened. So David Warner. Now this was once again the other day, as you would remember, Cummins had a double blow. It was a similar blow that happened, and Archer, let me tell you, is someone whose bowling action is so smooth and easy, with absolutely no complications, and he was the one who had the first wicket, and the first wicket to go was David Warner. And let's see how David Warner went. So David Warner was the first to be sent back to the pavilion by Archer. It was a length ball. It was Warner who was actually prodding at it, and the ball actually flew off the splice into the gully where Rory Burns had taken a good sharp low catch. And that was the end of David Warner. Caught Burns, bowled Archer for 5. So Archer was the first wicket for Archer there. And then it did not take much time for Archer to remove the second victim, and that was Usman Khawaja. Almost a similar ball to what he bowled to David Warner, but this one was a clear edge. In fact, Khawaja was taken behind by Barristow, and England were 19 for 2. And then for the first time in Test history, we saw a concussion player coming in. As you know, okay, let me just share the news first about Stephen Smith, who was hit on the neck yesterday. He could not get up from sleep today. He could not get up, and he has been ruled out of this particular test match. And as you know, ICC recently brought a ruling that from August 1st onwards, they would have a concussion substitute in place. And Australia applied for it, and they got their thing granted. As today we saw Stephen Smith for the first time in Test history, one could say, we are seeing a substitute for a batsman in Test matches. So history was definitely made today on the 5th day at the Lord's Cricket Ground when Marcus Labuschagne walked in place of Smith. Really, Labuschagne got an opportunity here, and what a welcome for him. Labuschagne came in, and he had to definitely face the chin music of Jofra Archer. Jofra Archer was pacey, he was bouncy, he was really unplayable, one could say, and Labuschagne had to really weather a torrid time against Archer. Archer hit him once again. As you know, Archer has made it a habit now of hitting the batsmen on their anatomy, and once again we saw that being happening today as Labuschagne was hit on the forearm, I reckon. So Labuschagne, but unfortunately Labuschagne actually stood the test well and started forming a partnership. But in the meanwhile, the spinner Leach got rid of Cameron Bancroft. This was a ball which actually Cameron Bancroft got a delivery which actually Bancroft went onto the back foot, and the ball actually really, one would really not fault Bancroft for that. Probably it was the vagaries of the pitch there, as it hit his shin and up went the umpire's finger, and Bancroft was walking. LBW bowled Leach for 16 with 2 boundaries. So that made the score at that time 47 for 3, and Marcus Labuschagne was joined in by Travis Head. Now Marcus Labuschagne and Travis Head did a good job. I mean, this was a very tough situation for the Aussies at 47. For the Aussies at 47 for 3, and they definitely required a good partnership because definitely, as I said, Archer was on absolute fire, no doubt about it. But then we saw a very good partnership being formed, an 85-run partnership that was being formed between these two players. Labuschagne at one end and Travis Head at the other. Travis Head continued to plod around. Labuschagne also did a good job, and both took the score to 132, and that was the time. It was with 3 balls to spare. I mean, 48 overs were given to the Aussies to get 267. As I said, not very realistic, but probably a bit realistic, one could say. But at that time, Labuschagne was doing well and had collected 59 runs to his name, with 8 boundaries, coming in as a concussion test substitute for the first time in Test history. So Labuschagne will definitely go down in Test history as being the first concussion test substitute for a batsman in Test history. And Labuschagne, let's see what happened to Labuschagne. Labuschagne was a victim of the bowling of Leach. Now this was the spinner Leach actually exploiting the rough which was falling after the off stump. But Labuschagne was attempting the sweep shot, and it was well caught, one thought, by Joe Root. Root was the man who dived forward, and he picked up a very good catch, and probably it was not well taken. Probably there was a sort of probably a doubt on that. Probably Labuschagne was not happy with that. Wilson had raised his finger, and Labuschagne was not at all happy. He was absolutely riled. A few words were exchanged between Root and Marnus on the way Labuschagne was walking back to the pavilion, and then we saw Matthew Wade coming in. So that was not a pretty picture, one could say. 132 for 4 at that stage. And then with only 6 runs added, Leach sent Matthew Wade on the way to the pavilion. Now once again, Leach was exploiting the rough superbly. Once again, the ball actually turned out of the rough. Wade just pushed at it. And once again, Butler, who has been showing some very good work there, he picked up the catch at short leg. So Wade was gone for 1, and then when Tim Paine was sent back to the pavilion, once again Jofra Archer coming back, Joe Root bringing his bogey man back into action just to see whether whether England can really stir the pot there. He went there and brought Tim Archer back. What a catch by Joe Denley, superb. It was a ball, it was a short delivery from Jofra Archer. Paine was into the pull, and a beautiful catch by Joe Denley at mid-wicket. He had to literally, he flew and actually picked up the catch, and the catch just stuck. Absolute ripper, one could say. And that was the end of Tim Paine. And that really put up a lot of pressure, because there were 7 more overs to go, and the Aussie score at 149 for 6 at that stage. One end, we had Travis Head absolutely grinding away, not out on 42. And then Cummins kept his cool and eked out a single after consuming 17 balls. And with 3 balls to go, both the captains decided that that's the end of the play as far as the second test match is concerned. Finally, both the players started shaking hands with everybody, and that was the end of the second test match. And so Australia lead the Ashes Test Series 1-0 with 2 to go. And I'm afraid to say that Stephen Smith definitely not here. Whether he would be a part of the Headingley Test match is something which is really in doubt, according to me. But nevertheless, one only wishes that Stephen Smith recovers, and that's it. But I thought Travis Head should be given some real credit here for really sticking it out there, not out on 42, with 9 boundaries in that knock of 42. And 154 for 6 was the final tally. If you look at the bowling there, Broad and none for 29. Jofra Archer, what a bowler he is turning out to be, not only for England but in world cricket. He has become a sort of a real spectacle for every cricket lover. 15 overs, 2 maidens, 32 runs and 3 wickets. Splendid bowling from Jofra Archer. Take a bow, Jofra Archer. Chris Woakes was none for 11. Leach, one has to commend him for exploiting the rough outside the off stump, one could say, as he bowled 16.3 overs, 5 maidens, 37 runs and 3 wickets. None for 16 for Stokes. Joe Root none for 7. Denley 2 overs, 2 maidens, none for none. And the man of the match going to Ben Stokes for his tremendous batting, getting a century. Now let's see whether any other cricket news. I can give you some cricket news here. We are talking about the India versus India the Indian team, which are on the tour of the West Indies right now, are taking the West Indies A team. As you know, India made 297 for 5 yesterday, with Cheteshwar Pujara actually getting a century. I believe the West Indies A is already all out, so I'm just going to check on that, and I'm going to just furnish you with the scores there as to what really is happening. But definitely, as I said, Jofra Archer is someone who is really someone who is making waves in cricket, no doubt about. What a bowler England have got here by the name Jofra Archer. Absolutely, he is someone who would probably, people will go to watch this man bowl. I mean, he has such a easy bowling action, absolutely uncomplicated, and he really bowls the rip snorters to get the wickets of the opposition. And what he does basically, psychologically, he really worries the batsman, and then finally picks up his wicket. Another news that is coming in from Afghanistan is that Mohammad Shahzad has been suspended for 1 year from international cricket. So that is one news that I wanted to share with you. Let's talk about, and Sri Lanka is actually willing to play against Pakistan in Pakistan, and Russell Domingo is the new coach of the Bangladesh cricket team, and he feels that this Bangladesh team has a lot of potential. And also another news which is coming up just as I am looking at it is that Scotland and Oman, we're talking about ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 at Aberdeen, where Scotland made 223 for 7 and Oman were bowled out for 138. The tour match that is happening is Ishan Sharma has done a good job, and let's have a look in as to what happened. The India, as I said yesterday, made 297 for 5. The West Indies A team were bowled out for 181 runs. So let's see what really happened there. But I'm told Ishan Sharma has done a fantastic job with the ball, which is good to see. The tall, fast bowler from India doing a wonderful job. So let's have a look at the the West Indies A card. As actually, they were bowled out today for 181. So looking at the card there, Indians yesterday, as I already talked, they did not go any further. They declared the innings closed at 297 for 5. But now we are going to look at the West Indies A scorecard there. Solzano was out for 9, Hodge 51 was the highest scorer, King made 4, Bravo 11, Mohammed 6, Carter 26, Hamilton 33, 16 to Powell, 1 to Shepherd, Peary 17, Harding not out 4, 181 all out, and it was Ishan Sharma picked up 3 for 21, Umesh Yadav 3 for 19, Saini could not be amongst the wickets. That was pretty surprising according to me, 6 overs none for 20. And India currently, I believe they are 15 for none. We have still the whole day to go. Mayank Agarwal is not out on 8, Rahane is not out on 6, and that is the match situation as far as cricket is concerned today. Well, dear fans, friends, subscribers, a pleasure bringing you this daily cricket show. Hope you all enjoyed this cricket broadcast of mine, with more to come on my next cricket broadcast, which will be coming up tomorrow. It's goodbye from my studios here in Toronto. Thank you.